Good morning. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for today's Monday's Musings on the 8th of July 2024. And I chuckled to myself because I had the audacity, the naive audacity, to believe that this was an opportunity for me to plan and suggest when I would be here and when I wouldn't be here. And actually my computer and the powers that be including my own higher self, have said not to jump ahead and just to be here. And that's where I am this week, and that's where a lot of us are going to find ourselves. And there isn't going to be that much comfort there either. I would just love to have like a fly on the wall camera before I prepare for these readings. And if I did have, you would have seen me have quite an identity crisis before this video. I was originally wearing a black shawl because it's very cold where I am, despite it being July, and very comfortable sat in the black, sat in the shadow, you know, that perception of myself. And all of a sudden at the last minute, change your clothes, get some colour in, this isn't working for you anymore. And it's as I'm journeying with the tarot, and I'm actually on the Magician card today. Now, much has been coming up about how we view ourselves and about the new vision that is trying to come through, in particular with the belief that things may be too much for us, or actually in reality, on the other hand, that we're not enough. And it doesn't matter what perspective you take of that, what's underneath it all, that feeling of not quite reaching our potential or believing that we're not quite in our potential. And that is what comes from the mind. And I really feel that in the mind-like energy. However, when we go into our heart, there's a disconnection. There's a disconnection to our body. There's a disconnection to how we actually see ourselves. There's a disconnection to where we actually are. And it's not even about being in the past anymore. It very much feels about jumping ahead into the future. That type of energy. And being aware when we do that, it's one thing to have an insight of what is coming, but we have to come back to the present moment in order to have the whole as above, so below, right? We have to bring that vision back to where we are and apply it. That's where the heart needs to expand. There is some discrepancy there in our ability to do so individually and collectively. And I'm going to say still some holding on to old narratives, some not doing the work, not looking at ourselves. And I can hand up, I can take that on board. Not in a negative manner, but in a receiving of who we are. Only when we receive who we are truly in this moment can we be aware of our own potential. So when I talk about achieving our potential, it doesn't mean that we seek it outside. It doesn't mean that we're not enough. What it means is to sit and be with who we are and allow that to expand what we thought of ourselves. On the Black Shore, the one thing that I did do is take off the label. The label is really itching me and irritating me. And we may find that this week, this desire to pinpoint, to label, to identify with certain energies. It's not that it's a good or bad thing, and I'm not going to suggest anyone connect to one thing over another. That's your journey. But that feels important, that it be your journey. What are you connecting from and where? Wearing of the black, yes, it normally feels really quite comfortable, and it's very stereotypical with a lot of the shamanic path, it being of the darker colours, the darker, not energies, but the more earthy type energies. However, that isn't what I'm feeling today, and that isn't what I want to connect to. So being acutely aware of what energy you are connecting to and where that actually comes from, what vision that comes from. The other thing I'm going to share before I get on with the cards, and I am going to get on with the cards, I'm working with the Magician today, and the Magician just doesn't mess around really, or he does, but not in what he knows, and that feels really quite poignant as well. The more we question what we know, the less believable it is, and the more wobbled we then feel, the less we know, right, about ourselves. So that ongoing circle there. So knowing what you know and standing true to that is going to bring in that clarity that we seek from other areas that we may need a different perspective on, which is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to be working with these cards, the Tarot of the New Vision. And these are the ones that I'm actually journeying with, and they are different. They really are different. So from those that know the tarot cards, normally the Fool you'll see head on, with the dog at his heels. You never see what's actually in front of him. Yeah, so they're at a completely different angle. They're often behind the characters, seeing things that you wouldn't see. So feeling into what is behind us. Yeah, observing, stepping back, taking a good look at what is in front of us from the perspective of not being there yet. So we can acknowledge what is needed in order to actually get there. Sometimes when things feel too much, it's because we are thinking about an analogy. If you come in at 2 centimeters dilated and think that you have to get to 10 in order to push that baby out, it's going to seem a long, long way away. But if you take one step at a time, cliche as it sounds, 1 foot in front of the other, one stage of this process at a time, by the time you get to fully dilated or ready to deliver, whatever it is you're ready to deliver, not only are you more used to the discomfort, not only are you more capable, but you have that belief in yourself as well, and those endorphins and that serotonin and all the energy behind you, the contractions, the creative push and pull behind you to be able to do it. Trying to push at 2 centimeters dilated is going to cause some damage. Okay, so using that analogy at any part of your life, how often do we stop doing something because we see its potential, but we're not there yet? So we then question what we're doing. Just doing it for the sheer fun of it. This week is really going to be key. So this reading included, which is why I've picked the Tarot of the New Vision, because I haven't worked with them. And to be honest with you, they kind of fuck with my brain because I'm so used to how I see the tarot. This is from a witness, a bystander perspective, rather than the energy coming down. It's kind of like, oh, so having that new vision there has left my understanding a bit skew-if, and we may find that this week, that this discombobulation, this emotional dissonance almost, when we connect to a way of being, an energy, a story that is new, it is perfectly normal to want to go back to what we know. Perfectly normal, because there's security there and safety there. However, my question to us all this week, myself included, is how safe and secure are those beliefs? Are they linked to roles that can change, jobs that can be taken or moved on from? Are they linked to physical identity that changes constantly? Are they linked to stereotypes that are from others? How stable and secure is the energy you are connecting to? Is it yours? Is it you? So I have this strange way of being able to see lots of different things in lots of different ways. So actually, Tarot of the New Vision, in reality, shouldn't really pose a problem for me. So let's see. Okay. Put them to one side. We're going to feel into the energies this week and how to best navigate them. Well, first and foremost, we're going to put to one side what we don't need. We're going to, in the Magician card in this deck, I don't know if it will come up, but in the Magician card in this deck, behind him is the monkey. And that can be the monkey mind. It can be the energy of the archetype of the monkey, which is not only our ancestral energy and our animalistic energy, but they're fun, they're light, they're playful, they're very family orientated. They're very wise, actually, and very able to adapt. In this card in particular, that's what's behind it. So honing in what is particularly behind every situation that we're coming up against. Now that feels like a bit of a blank there, so trying not to figure it all out, otherwise we're going to lose, we're going to be sidetracked this week if we're trying to figure it all out and we're trying to make it all relevant. It may not be yet. Bearing that in mind. Okay, energies for this week and how to best navigate them. Feels quite important to acknowledge what we've been through. You know, this new moon in Cancer, but also the 7/7 portal. I don't know about anyone else, but it's been interesting. It's been interesting. And some of the things we may have had comfort with, we no longer will have comfort with. And that can cause a bit of a frustration and a bit of overwhelm emotionally in the body. Of course it will. All the time we are trying to address it or navigate those waters from the perspective of where we once were. When we talk about walking through portals and what we leave behind, we tend to forget that we're also walking into a newer version of ourselves. So allowing that integration to occur is going to be important. And anything that is uncomfortable, yeah, kind of recognizing it for a evolution of yourself. At the moment, I'm really struggling with our mattress. I feel like the princess and the pea. I feel like I can feel everything. And we may find that this week, post Cancerian new moon, we're overly sensitive. Not overly as in we should only be so sensitive, but in comparison to how we are individually, we may find that that sensitivity is increased. So nature's really important. Grounding's really important. Yeah, flowing with it is really important. Giving it a voice, connecting to poetry, art, music, whatever your thing is to help this creative flow. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. So we have the King of Pentacles at the bottom of the pack, and what I love about this deck, as I've said before, is you see the energy behind it. Okay, so you don't actually see the King of Pentacles head on, you see what's behind him, where he is sat. And you can see a bit of stubbornness carved into the throne, yeah, carved into the security, the seat that he takes. A bit of stubbornness there with the bull. You can also see that even though it's the back of the throne, the gold is still evident. That gain is still palpable, still able to be seen. There's growth there. There's looks like a heron there as well. I'm not quite sure what this base thing is here, but the heron is to do with birth. Okay, so yeah, no, we may not be sure what the base or the foundation is, but things are changing, things are being born here, and at the end of the day there's still abundance to be found. That hasn't changed. It all depends how pig-headed we're going to be, how stuck in our own view of stability we choose to remain. Okay, so energies for this week and how to best navigate them. I'm just seeing actually the King of Pentacles, which you wouldn't see in a normal deck, has flowers on his crown. You wouldn't normally see that in the other deck. There's beautiful flowers there, and you can see the man harvesting in front of him, observing the work being done, observing the growth, observing the rewards being reaped, often by others as well, but finding beauty in that. You see the whole light has gone around his face now. Finding beauty in that, finding abundance in the changes that have happened to others within your own community, recognizing that we're all part of that. So Monday, Tuesday there's a bit of a rush and a bit of a wobble. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday I have this most beautiful crystal here who I call Chiron, and he's a real mixture of all different crystals, but I'm actually having to move him to one side. So Saturday, moving to one side the healing, the wounded healer. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because it's that's actually bringing some of the indecisions forward. As we go from the Saturday into the Sunday, the having peace with where we are, but also taking that peace and moving with it. Okay, sometimes there can be real comfort in, I've sorted that, I've healed that, let me just sit here. And the world carries on moving, right? The feeling that it never stops, the feeling that the changes are ongoing, the feeling that it's constant or continuous, comes from that place of I can't cope. It's happening to me, not with me. Okay, and that could be where the wounded healer energy is this week. I felt like I wanted to go into the following week, so I am going to pull one for the Monday and the Tuesday. Okay, so it does feel like come the weekend things will start to really move forward, and underneath it all we have the Ace of Wands. We do have a creative spark coming by the end of the weekend, leading into next week. But there's a lot here about nostalgia, there's a lot here about opening our heart, there's a lot here about our own childhood dreams and traditions that really need to be held space for through the essence of play. So I'm going to quickly drink from my own cup. On Monday, today, we have the Star card. On the 8th of July, we have the Star card. It, at first glance, doesn't feel like I have much to say about that. At first glance, it's kind of like, well, yeah, the Star card, I know what I want. I have the vision here. I keep on seeing it. There's nothing more to actually add. But behind her, in this card, you have another star on the earth that is lit with a fire here. quite precociously placed actually, that is lit with a fire here. And isn't it ironic that overall at the bottom of the pack we have the Ace of Wands? So what energy is behind this vision of ours? Oh, nearly putting it to one side then. Resparking that, finding that light. You know, we can become really complacent with our visions of ourselves and of the world we're trying to create, particularly if we've had to have patience, particularly if there's been this backwards, forwards emotional healing that has been occurring. It can be quite exhausting, actually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And we can almost, like that character in the background, want to move on. Yeah, you can't quite see him, want to move forward and just not even notice the vision that is there in front of us, by the side of us all along. So this week, particularly on the Monday, this card isn't called the Star, it's called the Stars. Recognizing all the players in the game with appreciation, recognizing how much we are all part of the one vision. Not walking away from what is in front of us, but acknowledging it, seeing it again, finding the magic, finding the spark, connecting to the earth, communicating with her. Is there anything else there? In this card, I can see a reflection of the character's leg and her foot in the water. And what I'm really being drawn to look at here is an emotional insight in the reflections around us and the path that we're walking. So if we're seeing certain repetitions around us, how is that playing out internally, emotionally? And how is that affecting our vision of those situations, our vision of the world, our vision of ourselves, and our ability to actually create what it is we desire, what it is we feel? It feels like I could stay with the Star card forever. I just keep looking at what I want and the vision and feeling into how lovely it feels. But actually come Tuesday, we have 3 minor arcanas, but the first minor arcana that we have Tuesday is the Page of Swords. It is a younger energy here, or one would assume that it's a younger energy based on the decks before, based on the cards before. But actually in this one you can't see the face, and there's a freedom in that where we can't see the age of this idea, where we actually see it for the first time, or where we can see it as if it's been developed over lifetimes. When we take the time out of the situation, when we take the time out of our own mindset here, we can see what's actually behind it all and what's in front. So there are some storms coming. There are some mountains, or at least they're not as mountainous as we thought they were in the original Page of Swords. Page of Swords, we normally have big mountains that they're climbing, but actually they're not. They're kind of like little blips in the road. And you can see this character is almost dancing, prepared for that fight. Now you can't see what's over the horizon, and it could be that that's causing the mental storm. So really feeling into that, being ready to walk forward, but also firm in your stance and where you are on the Tuesday is going to be key. I just had to see if it was recording then. I had a sensation that it wasn't recording, that I'd have to start all over again. Yeah, and there's something in that. Come the Wednesday, we have the World card. A feeling almost as if things haven't been acknowledged and needing to start all over again. Acknowledged by who? Acknowledged by who? What colour? Yeah, what connection? What part of the body even needs to acknowledge where we are and who we are in the world? Well, in this card, she's clothed in blue. Now, when I first drew this card, all I could look at actually was her butt. That's all that kept drawing my attention, and not from a physical perspective, but. Okay, and the colour that I'm drawn to here is obviously the blue. It does feel as if we're being held in an amniotic sac of authenticity this week. Looking at where that comes from and whether or not it is in alignment with where we are. So we may find, I'd really like to do X, Y, and Z, but look at the communication with ourselves, look at the communication around us, and look at the communication that we trust, the communication that we connect to. Are we holding ourselves back? Do those emotional waters need to burst? Or actually, do we need to be held? do we need to be nurtured until that communication, our own internal dialogue, is on board as well? And what will that actually take on the Wednesday for us to acknowledge who we are and what it is we're here to do? But, and that could be, but I cannot do it all myself. You know, the buts could actually be very relevant to where you are. And what I hear is the not the buck, but the but stops here. Okay, so taking a seat, feeling into where you actually are, being honest and authentic with that on the Wednesday is going to be key. On the Thursday, yes, that may bring up some judgments. I would have liked to have been here. I would have liked to have been doing this by now. And actually, I can't believe this person is doing this, or I'm doing this, or whatever. On the Thursday, the judgment card isn't really that different from any other card, other than we are seeing it from behind. What I do notice from that perspective is the birds and the freedom that can be had by releasing ourselves up to any judgment we may have on ourselves and each other, by not releasing the judgments. That can be really difficult, and it's almost like that ongoing journey to have no ego, to have no opinion, to have no whatever physical experience of life. But releasing or handing up the judgments, being aware of them. Okay, yeah, I don't feel good enough. Or, okay, I'm not ready. Or, okay, I want to get out of this situation, but I don't know how. The moment we acknowledge that, what we're doing is asking for help. So if we try and have no judgment on anyone or anything, we are not fulfilling that communication that we're actually seeking. So if we walk around, oh, I don't feel good enough, I need to fix that, I need to get rid of that, straight away there's a judgment on there, a deep-seated emotional judgment on there. However, if we can say, I'm struggling. Yeah, it's the serenity prayer. I'm struggling, and I hand this up. I acknowledge this. I am responsible for this. Show me. Then you may just find some beautiful answers, but acknowledging those judgments first. Yeah, classic, trying to move home. I'm never going to move home. Okay, so just show me. Just show me, because I've been trying to figure it out on my own or it feels like on my own for a very long time. So once we acknowledge, what has kept us in our own boxes, those labels of I'm on my own, or I'm not good enough, or whatever they may be, and they're going to be individual for us all, we get that freedom. We get that freedom of the birds here. And you can see one bird is going up, the white ones and the black ones are coming down. Okay, so releasing that purity behind the judgment, not having the judgment on the judgment, or having it but also acknowledging that, right? I'm judging this and I really wish I didn't, but I do. Letting it go. And then having it come back down for the wisdom that it is. So we have doves on one side, we have peace with the judgments that we feel. That's not to say they're right or wrong. That doesn't even come into this equation. That's a judgment, right? And then on the other side, the answer that comes back down is the crows, and it's a deeper wisdom about ourselves. Then we can say, well, I might not feel ready, and that means I need X, Y, and Z, or actually look at all the things that I've achieved. But we must have these conversations with ourselves first. On the Friday, we have the Sun card. And this card, again, isn't particularly that much different, other than you can really see the sun. You can really see the light. When we step back, rather than getting really involved in what is going on, we can actually see the light. We can really see the cloth here. And we can really see the back of the horse, and look at that muscle. Look at that strength that is carrying us forward. When it feels like we're small, when it feels like it's all a bit too much, look at the strength that is carrying us forward here. Look how light it seems. Look how freeing it seems. And what I sense here is a feeling of, oh, that child may get sunburnt. What I sense here is a feeling of Icarus, going too close to the sun. And it's that saying, isn't it? It's not our darkness that we fear, but our light. And on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on the Friday, we can recognize that our vision has never felt like it was too much, but that on a physical level, on a human level, our mind has empowered us to think that, so that we don't see who we are, but so that we really can acknowledge who we are through actual physical human experience. That then leads us on to any judgments that we are now able to look at from that perspective, because we are human. I don't agree with the song by Rag and Bones Man, I'm Only Human, because I think it's fucking awesome to be human, to have a spiritual body that comes down through ours. And yes, I know a lot of people say we are soul experiencing physicality, but we're also very physical experiencing the spiritual. And it feels important come the weekend not to forget that. Really not to forget that, but to embody that. So I don't agree with the whole we're only human. I think we're human, and I think that's pretty incredible here. But being aware that sometimes that can feel a bit intense. We can be aware of the love that we are, the light that we are, the soul that we are, and we can feel pretty small in comparison to it. But it was never about comparing ourselves to our soul or our potential, but knowing that us as the human, through our actions, were what was going to bring it down, were what was going to make it physically tangible, and to have some fun with that. Yeah. So on the Saturday and the Sunday, we do have two minor arcanas, and what we have is the Two of Swords. Now on this Two of Swords, what you don't see on the normal deck is there's a horse in front of her. Okay, and I say her, you don't even see that it's a her in this deck either, and it's almost like the horse from the Sun card, right, is now in front of her. So we're not being carried now by this wisdom. And on the weekend, that can almost feel a little bit jarring. The stories that have led us this far, the beliefs that have led us this far, for some the traumas that have led us this far are now coming face to face with us and saying, right, what are we going to do about that? And in this card you can see that the character doesn't want to look at it. Yeah, that they've got swords up ready to fight, their heart is closed off. Actually, I lie. You can't see that in this card. That is coming from what I know from the other cards. Being mindful on the Saturday, what is it we actually see? Are we seeing things, viewing things from our own previous knowledge and wisdom? If so, how open are we to what is actually in front of us? Because in this deck, she doesn't. You can't see that her heart is crossed over. You can't see that she's completely blindfolded. You can't even see it's a she. All you can see is the emotions that have been behind her or him slowly starting to dwindle down. You can see a bit of shadow there. You can see a very beautiful posture, very upright. You can see preparation, and you can see what carried that light, that childhood innocence, that joy, that fun, come face to face with the very aspect that it was moving forward. You can see here a horse. You can see the wisdom of the horse and the patience of the horse and the beauty of the horse. So being very mindful on the Saturday what it is you can actually see. Opening your eyes to what is in front of you, not what has been behind you and how you've always seen things. And on Sunday, you couldn't write this. That's when we can get back on the horse, yeah? The metaphorical saddle. That's when we can get back onto things, okay? And we can start to move forward. We can put down the two swords, the indecisions. We can take whatever it is we need mentally now, whatever it is we're going to lead our path with. We can get back on the very vessel that carried us, whether that's a story, whether that's our emotions, our ancestry, our soul, however you want to look at it. And we can start to lead the way together. So we don't have the abandonment of the naive child on the Sun card. And we don't have the separation in the Two of Swords. They are working together. They are charging forward. And what they're actually charging away from here is destruction and war. You can see the other characters are running in completely the different direction. They're not getting involved with it anymore. They're charging forward away from that now. And then I did pick two cards for the beginning of next week, and the reason I did that, one, curiosity. It felt like it was a great opportunity come Sunday to start to think, what else? So, okay, I'm not being ruled by this anymore. What else? I have this incredible awareness of who I am. What else? But also it felt important that this weekend we are going to start to bring forth some childhood dreams that are more long term, that are more supported by our ancestry, that are more wise. Doesn't mean they're less fun, but more wise in their wisdom, more promising, more committed, looked over, cared for, nurtured, more fun, more playful, more balanced. And it is going to come. So we have the dove there, the peace, the Christ light, yes, but it's going to come from a judgment that we have become aware of throughout the week. Having more peace with that, having more fun with that, seeing it from an inner child perspective and an ancestral perspective, but also looking at what could grow from that now. From embodying our own Christ consciousness, from saying, this is me, this is my light, this is who I am, this is what I connect to. And yes, I may have judgments on that, and there may be judgments on that in society, from my family, from my friends, but actually it feels really important that authenticity be the one thing that we take forward this week, be the one thing that carries us, who we are. So let's round it up. It's that's going to give the spark. So again, on the star card here, we have that star on the ground. We have that Ace of Wands on the ground. Who are we in this human body? Who are we in this physical life? That Knight, that King of Pentacles, what is the base behind it all? What is the structure that's going to help us deliver? Well, it's our physicality that will help us deliver anything we're trying to achieve here. Without the human body, it is ideas. Without the human body, it is emotions. Without the human body, it is spirit. Without the human body, yeah, it's... You need that pentacle on the Magician's table. You need that pentacle on the back of the Knight of Pentacles. Even though everything else is just a carving, you can see here it's the physical, the body, that is still, regardless, seen as very abundant. And that's really important this week. That's where we're going to harvest some of the hardest work that we've actually been through in quite a long time. So yeah, if it's aching, look after it, nurture it, take care of it. What does the body actually need? You know, sometimes I think, right, I have to move, I can't be here anymore. And my body's like, really? You want to put that on top of everything as well? So what does the body actually need? So let's take these cards to one side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually thought there was more, but there isn't. 4 major arcana. Isn't that interesting? I thought that most of the energy was fates and destiny and the more universal aspects, but we actually have more minor arcanas. So it may feel as if it's out of our hands this week, but it isn't. The structure is coming from the major arcanas. We have 4, but if we believe that that's happening to us, that there's nothing we can do about that, that can actually box us in this week. It's not about observing the energy behind us in a negative or positive manner. It's just about recognizing it's behind us. Whatever we're trying to do, whether that's a vision, whether that's training or healing or whatever that may be, the very energy of it is behind us. You know, it wants to be born through us. Okay, otherwise we wouldn't have got that idea in the first place. Yes, we may have added our own interpretation of it. We may have watered it down with our judgments or our stories or whatever. But whatever we are longing for, it's that saying, whatever you long for longs for you too. And it's behind us. This week, be mindful that we're not overwhelming it or being overwhelmed by it. It's not about it encasing us and that's all there is. It's not about just the vision. It's not about just us. It's about the two together this week. Then we can see that the earth wants this, whatever this may be, from us too, and recognizing the power that is there. So tomorrow I'm doing a shamanic journey and I have no idea what it's going to be on, and it's on a talk. I have no idea how many people are going to be there. I try not to get too involved in the details. I try and trust as much as I can because I know I can get in the way, and I can very rarely see myself as the earth does. I very rarely see myself through the eyes of the mother, my own included. I very rarely see myself through the eyes of others, which is great. I see myself through my own eyes and where I am, but sometimes I'm in a wounded place. So if I take all of that energy into everything that I share, I'm doing it often from that younger, wounded inner child. So this talk tomorrow, I won't be doing that. My higher self will be doing that. So the less I know, the better. It's a need to know basis. However, part of me did wonder why I would do it anymore with the shop shutting and everything else, but I'm doing it for the earth. I know roughly what is going to be shared, and I know why she wants it. And that's kind of for me all that matters. So feeling into the vision this week and what it actually wants from you, how you can work together. If your vision is you are I need to take this on board myself, running a retreat where people are calm and feeling their emotions, whatever they may be, and doing something with it, then hello, maybe start practicing what you're going to offer. Take your medicine. If you are helping people with healing but not finding enough time to do your own, that's not authentic. If you are doing helping people with their business but not finding time for your own, it's not authentic. And somewhere along the lines, your body, I feel that in my root chakra, will disconnect not only from the earth, from you, but from the vision itself. And then it gets very difficult to believe in the vision, in the earth, in yourself. Okay, so really being aware of that this week when it comes to the major arcanas. They are there, the vision is there. We are held by the earth. We came here to do whatever it is we came here to do, but we get very caught up in our judgments around that, and those judgments are either it's too big or aka I'm not enough. So feeling into that this week and bringing back the joy and the innocence of starting all over again. With yourself as well, a continual evolution. Who says we have to remain one way? My husband asked me a couple of days ago if I knew who I was. I haven't got a clue what I'm here to do. It changes all the time. I've gone from nursing homes to midwifery to factory to dancing to reading tarot cards to talking in front of a load of people that I don't know what about or how many there'll be. But I know my energy. I know who I am. So do you. But we can get really caught up in the labels of that, and they don't always help, especially when we outgrow them. Feeling into that this week is going to be quite pivotal if we are to find the beauty of the physicality of life. And it's that we need. We actually need to come back down to earth, back into our bodies, so that we can use the emotions that we feel as the energy behind whatever it is we're trying to create, so that we can connect to our mind and see where we may be out of alignment without the judgment, but recognizing, oh, maybe that's why it's not happening, because I don't believe it's going to happen. And I'm not suggesting that we change that straight away, but awareness is an incredible thing. When you're aware of it, it kind of shifts anyway. Feeling into how we feel about something. Sometimes I think, oh, I think I'll win the lottery this week, and my brain is all go, but my body clenches up emotionally. So that's not going to happen all the time. That's not in alignment. So no judgment there, but being aware of it, moving with it. Okay, that's interesting. What does that need? Maybe just to know that it's there. Maybe to write about it. Maybe to whatever. Create with that. Being very aware of our physical body. Is it ready for the things we are expecting of it? As its guardian, what is our responsibility? What do we need to do to ensure that we are ready to deliver what we are asking of ourselves? And being aware of our soul and our spirit, that fire, that wanted to come here and experience things, connecting to that, not outside of ourselves, but within. This week is going to be key. So we have we have one pentacle card, which is the King of Pentacles, and here I can't help but keep looking at the fact that I don't know what the base is. I don't know what the base is, so I'm actually going to look. There may be times physically when we can't quite figure out what something is, and it may be worth seeking advice or guidance from the very thing that created it. Okay, so think of ancestral healing. We can be very aware that we do certain things because our parents did it, but actually seeking advice. Why did they do that? What did they gain from that? A stalk looks an overturned basket. So I never would have guessed that that was an overturned basket at all. The gifts from this animal, symbol of fertility, have been placed in the soil and made it productive already, as shown by the ripe grapes near the bird. An overturned basket. Yeah, so not putting all of our eggs in one basket. That looks nothing like a basket to me. Not putting all of our eggs in one basket. If we don't know what something is, ask. Ask our body, ask our loved ones, ask the earth for help, for guidance. If we feel as if something isn't growing, as it said here, this basket is turned up, so the contents is already in the soil, it's already growing. You can see that in the grapes around it. So ask, why don't I believe this? Why do I feel as if nothing is growing? What is actually going on here? And be ready for the abundance of answers that may come up. We then have 3 sword cards, so being mindful of the 3 of swords here, but it doesn't feel as if I don't feel any pain there. It doesn't feel like it's in my heart. It doesn't feel as if I'm disconnected from my heart. It feels more mind, body, soul, being very aware that they need to be aligned here. So on the one hand, we have the Knave of Swords. We don't know how old this idea is. Thankfully, we can't actually see what's behind us, but we can see that there could be some storms ahead. Storms bring forth change. They help things to grow, being mindful of that. In the middle of it, that can leave us a little bit undecided. All the time we see our vision outside of us. All the time we see the support that we're seeking outside of us. All the time we see who we are mentally outside of us. So having peace with that, acknowledging that sometimes we need to see that reflection, like the star card with the leg in the water. Sometimes we need to see that reflection in others to acknowledge where we are, but then bringing that back home, because on the other side we do have the Knight of Swords. That need now to move forward from war, from mental conflict with who we actually are, where we actually are, and where we're bloody going. Okay, so Page of Swords, who we are, 2 of Swords, where we are, Knight of Swords, where we're going. Make sure they align. And then we have 2 cup cards, and even though these were for the next week, my throat feels a bit sore for that. Even though these were for the next week, it's almost like my throat feels sore because the communication hasn't been had with the joy, the heart, the Christ consciousness, the overflowing love that we are. Every time we doubt who we are, what we're doubting is our capability of loving ourselves and each other. That makes the world a little less fun. That makes the world quite a more harsh place. Is there anything else to add on that? What I see here is, if we close off our heart to the love that we are through mental explanation, which have come from places of judgment, we're not able to receive what we need to grow, to mature, to believe, to flow, to connect back to the source of it all, whether that's us, our soul, our spirit, God, the beginning of a relationship, love. So 1 card overall, I feel like a patting on my back. You've done well, considering you didn't know the cards, Kirsty. You've done well. And acknowledging that this week, there's a lot that we may not understand, there's a lot that we may not know, but recognizing what we have done this week feels quite important. Yeah, because on the one hand we have the Devil card, and on the other hand we have the Strength card here. Okay, so on the one hand we can see where we're holding ourselves back. On the one hand, we can decide whether or not we want to stay there. Do we want to stand behind this card? We're not involved in it anymore. We're not involved in it. We're not the devil's advocate. Someone shared with me the other day about a very common phrase that people believe, you know, that we're here to change the world. And I've been there. Yeah, it gave me permission to be who I was. It gave me permission to be the rebel, the X, the Y, the Z. It gave me an identity that I now, for whatever reason, don't resonate with anymore. I'm not the devil's advocate anymore, which is fucking unheard of for me. I'm not, and we're not in chains. We're watching it. Step back and watch it play out in front. We don't have to jump in. However, that is going to take some strength. that is going to take some connection. You can see that snake there. Connection to our own Kundalini, our own healing, our own place here in the south, the present moment. Amaru, the serpent, the mother of waters, as we shed those stories. You see the dragon in the cloud there. I'm just looking at that. And then there's a character made of stone here. It almost looks like he's got a little bit too, yeah, too big for his own boots. So let's have a look. Let's have a look, see what that actually is. The character feels important. I don't know who the character is. What I can see is it's been molded from the earth. There's no actual growth there. There's no beauty there. There's no fruition there. It feels very stone cold. It feels very hard. There's a big difference between strength and endurance, or achievement for the sake of achievement. Does it bring you that inner divinity, that inner patience, that inner peace, that inner love, or is it external? That feels quite important, but what feels important is, who is the character? Who is the character that we are choosing to play as we go into next week? So let's have a look, see if the card does actually say who it is. I don't know if it will. So we've talked about the snake. So, the Colossus with feet of clay. We should point out another danger here. He who believes he has conquered the lion could succumb to the temptation of boosting his ego. This aspiration breeds tyranny, narcissistic libido, or delusions of grandeur, as represented by the statue of Hercules. It's Hercules. Standing high on top of the mountain. Hercules, having beaten the Hydra, the terrible dragon and symbol of vice seen here in the cloud, loses his strength the very moment he portrays himself as the absolute master of virtue. Hercules becomes a clay-footed colossus. He crumbles quickly when those powers he thought he had conquered start coming back to life again. Like the heads of the Hydra that keep growing back, his old ghosts return to haunt him again and again. So in order not to fall into this trap, the Gnostic must continually remember that while a person's will comes from his mind, real strength comes from above. It is a type of election or calling to deal responsibly with oneself and others. Yeah, okay, so this week, keeping an eye out for brute strength or soul navigation. It's not navigation, it's soul. Well, it's down to you guys to find out what it is. Yeah, it's down to you guys to find out what it is, because that's where I wobble. And then the 10 of Wands is at the top of the pack. It's not up to us to figure out everyone else's journey. It's up to us to connect to our own and have the strength, the courage and the patience to continue walking that. We're not entangled with others. We're here to walk together. Have an incredible week. I'm going to leave it there because otherwise it feels like the week after is almost trying to come through already. Be where you are, one step at a time. Have an incredible week and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.